Welcome to Module 9 of the Digital Sinks of the Six-Figure Product Launch. And in this module, we are going to be discussing failure to provide or failure to prepare for Murphy's Law. We all know what Murphy's Law is. If there is, and the law is very simple. If anything can go wrong, it will. And that law has no exception when it comes to product launch. If anything can go wrong, it will. And the best way to prepare for it is to brainstorm what are the different things that could go wrong. And then have backup plans, what is called Plan B and Plan C and Plan D in place. Unfortunately, this is one of the major mistakes we also made during the Mobimatic launch. We're all very excited about what we wanted to do. We had a good plan about what we want to achieve, but we never really spent quality time preparing for Murphy's Law, because it was our first time product launch, and I've been in business long enough to know that whatever could go wrong will go wrong simply because we don't have the experience. We didn't have the experiential history to guide us instinctively. So I should have known that Murphy's Law was going to play a big role in the Mobimatic launch, but I had it in my brain, what I call a mental assent, knowing that Murphy's Law is inevitable, but I never took proactive action to sit down and think about all the stuff that could possibly go wrong. Then to ask those who have had good launches before, what are the things that could go wrong? What are the things that have gone wrong for you? Even though I read several books on how to do a product launch, believe it or not, I did buy lots of products. I read a lot of them, but it was like I'm reading it for theory. When I got to this part, because many of them, particularly when you read Uma Martin's book, The Affiliate Builder, or you read there are many of them out there who had products on how to prepare for a product launch. So I read them, I watched the videos, but when it came to preparing for my own, for some reason, I never fully addressed this Murphy's Law. And if you want to have a successful six-figure launch where you will not cry and where you end up with some of that profit in your pocket, you need to over-prepare for Murphy's Law. Okay, it's better to be over-prepared for disaster striking and disaster not coming than to be hoping disaster will not strike. Hope strategy is never good. Hope strategy is never a winning strategy. And unconsciously, that is what I did with Mobimatic. All right, if anything could go wrong, it will. That's Murphy's Law. Everybody who is anybody in business know that if anything can go wrong, it will. And in our case, believe me, it did. All right, unfortunately, we were not ready. We had no alternative server in place immediately. So when our server went down, we really didn't know what to do. All right, we started scrambling. Typically, we should have at least 2 or 3 servers already in place, already purchased, already waiting to go. So, but because we are on AWS, which is Amazon, we felt nothing could ever go wrong with Amazon. After all, Amazon had millions of customers on it. And so when the shit hits the fan, we were left dangling. We never considered that our software could fail. This was amazing. We tested it and we were judging based on what we had in the 2 months lead up to the launch that the software will not fail. We know there are 1 or 2 glitches here and there that even almost made me postpone the launch. I was aware of those, but it never occurred to me that the software could fail totally. All right? I'm like, I've tested it for 2 months. 50 to 100 people have been using it. It didn't fail, so the software could not fail. I never thought about that. So when the software failed, not only did it take us 2 precious days to recognize that the problem was with our software. We were battling with hosting problem. We were battling with servers when it was the coding, because we never even thought that could happen. Murphy's Law. We didn't think about what would happen if 3,000 people got on our server at the same time. And yet, we were planning to make 2,500 sales. We were calculating our income to expect from the sales at 2,500 sales. So we knew we wanted to sell over 2,000. But we never stopped to really test, to really get people, independent people, to check for us. that what will happen to our server, what will happen to our customer service, what will happen to every area of our business if we had 2,500 people trying to use our software at the same time. So when it happened, Murphy's Law took over and there was nothing we could do. I mean, if we were going to be expecting 2,500 in sales, we are not even going to say we were surprised by the sales. We did barely 2,000. We were planning for 2,500 sales. But we didn't really sit down to think of what are the implications for disaster in 2,500. If we had done that, it would have occurred to me to get independent people to stress test our software. It would have done on me that I needed more than 20 help desk people, since this is a software product. It would have done on me that many people, even if our software didn't have a problem, 2,500 people would definitely have maybe about 20% of those who are going to have one question or the other for the help desk after they have purchased, either because they are not savvy in how to use the software or just basically the normal things that happen when people buy a product. So I should have anticipated that I may get 500 visitors to my help desk in 2 days. If I had thought about that, it would have occurred to me that 20 people cannot service 500 people in the space of a day or two. So it's either I would have gotten more freelancers just to work for just a week. I should have had like 50 people on there. All right. We didn't anticipate receiving over 200,000 visitors in 2 days. I should have, particularly when I'm thinking of making 2,500 sales, because even if we converted at 5%, that's the way I should have looked at it. All right. So to make 5 sales, that means we need 100 people there. To make 50 sales, we need 1,000 people. To make 500 sales, we need 10,000. I should have calculated that way, then multiply by 5. In that case, I would have known that, okay, for us to make the kind of sales I'm looking at, we're going to need 200,000 visitors over the course of the 2 to 5 days. So, and I should have asked myself, what are the implications of that? For our server, for our host, for our software, for our customer service, for our technical team. I should have planned for all of that. But I just knew where I want to go. I didn't sit down to really brainstorm about what that meant. What does 2,500 sales of a software, what does it mean for my business? What does it mean for my technical team? What does it mean for my customer service? What does it mean for my codes, for my software? What does it mean for my server? So when it happened, Murphy's Law just overran us. All right? We didn't prepare for the heavy technical inquiries that may arise. This is software we are selling, all right, and we should have anticipated that lots of people will not even know how to use it, even assuming there was no problem with the code, assuming there was no problem with the server. About 10 to 20% of the people will still have issues, simply because that's how people are, all right? People are not savvy. People don't read instructions. People don't. So we just assume because we have a knowledge base and because we have a live chat, we are going to be okay. And we were not, because we did not prepare for Murphy's Law, because we did not prepare for what will happen when our plans actually get achieved. I mean, I shudder to think what would have happened if I was surprised. I wasn't surprised. I knew the kind of figure I want to sell. I was just naive to think about the implications, or I didn't think about the implications of what those sales meant. And you don't want to be in that shoes. You don't want to be in a situation where Murphy's Law catches you flat-footed. It will cost you money. It will cost you credibility. It will cost you tears. All right? So if you are going to do your product launch, you got to take a quality time with your team to think about every possible thing that could go wrong, and then seek counsel of people who have had 6-figure launches before and ask them what are the things that went wrong for them. Then look at it in relation to your own business. And then also ask for ideas that if they were to do it over, what are the things they would do to avoid Murphy's Law or to avoid the impact of Murphy's Law? I mean, that's what I would do when I'm doing my next product launch. I'm going to overstress this part, because this is the part that costs you refunds. This is the part that costs you sleepless nights. When everything goes to shit, what do you do? When everything goes to hell in your product, what do? You should have had plan 2, plan B, plan C in action. And we did not. You don't want to be in that shoes. You want to prepare for Murphy's Law, because Mr. Murphy will show up at the time you least expected it. And if you are not ready, you are going to be swept away, you and your product.